Okay, so our topic for today is the week 6 and 7 in your LMS, which is the land ownership and property acquisition. As I've said, I know you are familiar with this because I've met a lot of REM students, which are real estate agents and brokers. And some of you are familiar, but let us also discuss this. So our learning objectives, of course, to discuss the land and property acquisition in the Philippines because we have some provisions or laws when it comes to the acquisition of the foreigner and even the Filipino citizen, and to explain the property acquisition of the foreigners and even the former Filipino citizens. When we say former Filipino citizens, those are the Filipino citizens here, but because of they live in other countries and they have their citizenship there that we call as a former Filipino citizen. Okay, in general, okay, you all know that in general, Filipino citizens and corporation or even partnership business, there is a share that must be acquired when it comes to the ownership land in the Philippines. So with at least 60% of the shares, it should be owned by the Filipinos, which those Filipinos are entitled to acquire a land, of course, in our country, in the Philippines. But for foreigners and not or the shall we say non-Philippine nationals, they are not allowed to buy the land in the Philippines, but they can buy or they can purchase condominiums, buildings, and they can enter into the long-term land lease of the lands. And take note, but when based on the provision that the foreigners are not allowed to buy land, but they can only purchase the condominium and buildings. And of course, they can also lease or rent a particular land in a long-term base. So what are the provisions when a foreigner acquires a land here in our country, in the Philippines? Okay, foreigners interested in acquiring a real property here in our country through aggressive ownership structures, they must also consider the provisions of the Philippines anti-dummy law. Okay, so what's the provision of the anti-dummy law? Philippine anti-dummy law, there is a major restriction that there are number of foreign members of the board of directors of a land holding company, which is limited to the 40% of foreign participation. So meaning, if the foreigners are interested to acquire a property here in our country, they assure in the Philippine anti-dummy law that there's a restriction on the number of foreign members to be the board of director in a corporation in order to acquire a particular land and make sure uh, 60% are the Filipinos, okay, the Filipino ownership. But when it comes to the restriction of foreign land acquisition in the Philippine anti-dummy law, there are exemptions. Okay, so what are those exemptions when it comes to the foreign land acquisition? If the foreigner acquired the land before the 1935 Constitution, so therefore they are not entitled to the Philippine anti-dummy law. Okay, if they when say before the 1935, it was acquired in the 19th century, 1935, 1935, year 1935 below. If they own acquire a land here 1935 below or before the 1935 Constitution, there are exemptions when it comes to the anti-dummy law. Okay, they still own the land. They're exempted. Okay. Another is when the foreigner acquired through the hereditary succession, if the foreigner is a legal or a natural heir of the said succession or inheritance. Okay. Another, if a foreigner purchased not more than 40% interest in the condominium project, there should be uh, it is also exemption to the Philippine anti-dummy law, and even the purchase by a former natural-born citizen, okay, subject to the limitations prescribed by law. Okay, they only acquired what they call this up to 5,000 square meter of residential land and 1 hectare of agricultural or a farmland. just in case that a natural-born Filipinos acquired a foreign citizenship, okay, in other country. So these are the exemptions when it comes to the restriction of foreign land acquisition, okay, based on the Philippine anti-dumping law. And another exception is the Filipinos who are married to a foreigner or to aliens, and they are able to retain, and these Filipino they retain the Filipino citizenship. Okay, they are accepted to the acquisition of foreign land unless the act of commission, or they are what they call this, a violation. The Filipino citizenship must be renounced or it can be revoked. Excuse me. So what about the corporation? Okay, in corporation owned land in the Philippines. Well, based on the law, the provisions, only 40% of the equity or the foreign equity must be shared in the corporation, and the 60% remaining, they assure that these are the Filipino people who are Filipino who are part of the board of directors. Okay, and it was formed by 5 to 15 natural persons, excuse me, of legal age as incorporators. And take note that the majority of this corporation is a Philippine residents. That's why, and then while the foreigner or the foreign equity must have only 40% share. Okay? Even when it comes to condominium or townhouse in the Philippines, which is owned by a corporation. Next, what about the foreign lease property in the Philippines? So in that case, the provision of leasing land in the Philippines in a long-term basis, okay, with more than 40% equity. So meaning a long-term basis for the foreigners to lease a land, they can lease the land with more than 40% foreign equity, because as based on the law that they can lease a land in the long term, but they can extend or exceed with more than 40% of the foreign equity. But under the Investors Lease Act of the Philippines, that the foreigner may enter into a lease agreement with Filipino landowners for the initial period of 50 years, renewable once the foreigners make an additional 25 years of for the renewal of contract for leasing of the land. Okay. So we have also a question here. So a question here is, can a foreigner own residential houses or buildings in the Philippines? It's a big question. Take note of this, that the foreign ownership of a residential lot or building in the Philippines is legal for as long as the foreigner do not own the land on which the house was built. Okay, it's very clear that the foreigner, when it comes to the house, because the entitlement of the house and entitlement of the lot can be different. Okay, because the land, this is where the house was built, while the house is a fixed asset where it can be depreciated. Okay, they can only own the fixed asset, but not the land. Okay. So another is the Condominium Act of the Philippines, or the Republic Act 4726. So what's the provision of Condominium Act of the Philippines? That the foreigners are allowed to acquire condominium units up to the 30% of the total and outstanding capital stock of a Filipino-owned or a controlled condominium corporation. Take note of that, that the foreigners can acquire condominium units, okay, up to 40% of the outstanding capital stock of the Filipino-owned or a controlled condominium corporation. Okay. So this is also so this will be a case. Okay, I will give you some situations when it comes to how a foreigner and a Filipino citizen can acquire a land here in the Philippines. Okay, and this is the first situation. A foreigner, what if a foreigner married to a Filipino citizen? Okay, the first here that when it comes to the holding of the title of the land, okay, the title will be the title of the land will be in the name of the spouse, which is a Filipino. But in the contract, the name of the foreigner can be also enlisted, the name in the contract. But when it comes to the transfer title, the Filipino spouse or a spouse who is a Filipino citizen, he or she is the one can hold the title. Okay? Because the foreign spouse name cannot be on the title of the land, but it can only be enlisted to the contract, okay, to buy the property. At in this case, in the what if in this case, when the Filipino spouse was died, what will happen to the property of a foreigner? Okay, the foreigner spouse, they can allow to sold or to dispose the property in order to collect the proceeds, or this property could be passed, or it could be passed or given to any Filipino heirs or relatives of the Filipino spouse who died. Okay? It might maybe it might be confusing, but I just want to clarify, in case that the spouse, regardless if a male or a female who died, what will happen to the house? What will the foreign spouse do? As I've said, we have two options. They can sell the property or dispose of property and collect the proceeds, or he or she can pass, the foreign spouse or the foreigner spouse can pass this property to any Filipino heir of the Filipino spouse, or it can be passed to the relatives. Okay? So that will be the situation. Another situation is a former natural-born Filipino citizen ownership and acquisition. What do you mean former natural-born Filipino citizen? This is a Filipino who was born here, but when I say former, when this Filipino citizen migrate to other country and live there for good, that we call it as a natural-born Filipino citizen, and then they have that kind of citizen with other country. Okay. So it's here, what will happen to the former natural-born Filipino? The question is, are they can acquire and own a land here in the Philippines? The natural-born Filipino citizen, okay, who lost their Filipino citizenship can own a private land in our country, but there is a limitation. They can only they can acquire land in the Philippines up to maximum area of 5,000 square meters in case of a rural land. Okay? But in case or in the situation of married couples, they are both former natural-born Filipinos, the total area that both couples are allowed to purchase should not exceed the maximum area mentioned above. Okay, take note both couples are allowed to purchase. Hindi naman sinabi, they naman sinabi or they not tell that solidary, each, both couples, hindi sinabing each of them, each of them are 5,000 square meters. No, both. Okay? Okay, another is, what if a former Filipino citizen is a balikbayan, or shall we say an overseas Filipino worker? Okay. In this case, a former natural-born Filipino or naturalized citizen of another country, they can also buy and register their own name to the title of the land in the Philippines, but take note that there are some limitations. However, if the former Filipino citizen, they want to avail the dual citizenship law in the Philippines, they can buy as much as any other Filipino citizen. So what do you mean? Kasi there are times we can live there in other country for a long time and we lost our citizenship, we can still buy the property up to the 5,000 square meter. But if a Filipino is a citizen of a foreign country, they want to avail the dual citizenship, okay, based on the law, they can buy as many as other Filipino citizen, or they can buy above 5,000 square meter areas. Okay, but the former Filipino citizen or a balikbayan or OFW must apply or must avail or apply a dual citizenship here in our country. Okay. So a dual citizenship law of 2003 or Republic Act 19225 was established, okay? Way back 2003, it was in the time of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So what's the provision of a dual citizenship law? Okay, it says here, excuse me, that the former Filipinos who became the naturalized citizens of foreign countries are deemed not to have lost their Philippine citizenship. Well, this is a good news. Take note, a former Filipino who become a naturalized citizen of other country may not or deem not lost their Philippine citizenship, but they have to enjoy or they have enabling to enjoy all the rights and privileges of a Filipino citizens regarding land ownership in the Philippines. So that's why, but the former Filipinos, they must apply for a dual citizenship in our country. So now this is the question. How the former Filipino citizen can gain or can apply for the dual citizenship here in our country? If you are in the Philippines, or if they are this former Filipino citizen are here in the Philippines, they can file a petition for dual citizenship and issuance of a identification certificate pursuant to Republic Act 1925 to the Bureau of Immigration for the cancellation of the alien certificate of registration. What we mean alien certificate? Of course, you are a former Filipino citizen. You are a Filipino or naturalized foreign citizen in other country. Of course, it may not lose your Filipino citizenship, but since you are naturalized foreign citizenship, you are to be called as alien based on the Constitution. Okay, they have to cancel the alien certificate of registration. But those who are not, take note, Bureau of Immigration registered and overseas, they can also file the petition at the nearest embassy or consulate. Take note, in case that a former Philippine citizen is in the other country and they are not OFW and they cannot file in the Bureau of Immigration, they can file on the nearest embassy or the consulate, okay, or the Philippine embassy or consulate in that particular country. File a petition for the certificate and even the cancellation of alien certificate of registration. So what are the requirements for applying a dual citizenship? Of course, they can file a birth certificate authenticated by the Philippine National Statistics Office. Actually, it's not an NSO anymore, it's a PSA. They can also accomplish and submit a petition for dual citizenship and issuance of identification certificate to a Philippine embassy, consulate, and the Bureau of Immigration. They have also to pay the $50 processing fee for the schedule and taking an oath of allegiance before a consular officer. Then the Bureau of Immigration in Manila, they will receive the petition from the embassy or the consular office, and the Bureau of Immigration can issue and send the identification certificate of citizenship to the embassy or consular office in case that the OFW or the former natural Filipino can file a dual citizenship in our country. Okay, and then the former Filipino, after they can have that, they can file a dual citizen. They have now a naturalized citizen of a foreign country does not want to avail the dual citizens law in the Philippines. Take note, in case that a former Filipino is a naturalized foreign citizen, but they do not want the dual citizen law in the Philippines, they can still acquire the land based on the Batas Pambansang Bilang 185 and Republic Act 8179 that there is a limitation to the number of square meters or area to acquire a land for the Filipino who is a natural citizen of a foreign country and do not want to avail the dual citizenship law in the Philippines. Okay, so these are the provisions in the Batas Pambansang Bilang 185 for those Filipino citizen for those Filipino who are now a natural citizen of a foreign country but do not want to avail the dual citizenship in the Philippines, this is only the provision. For residential use, they can only acquire up to 1,000 square meters of residential land, maximum, and up to 1 hectare of agricultural or farmland. Okay? For Republic Act 8179, for business and commercial use, if a Filipino is a naturalized foreign citizen of a foreign country and do not want to avail the dual citizenship, they can still buy the land up to 5,000 square meter of urban land for business and commercial use and up to 3 hectares of rural land. Okay, so let's discuss about the tax rates. Okay, when it comes to the acquisition of the land and property in the Philippines. Okay, first is the purchase from individuals. If you can purchase a land, okay, from the individuals, we say individuals, it can be the one who owns a property and they want to sell it to another. Okay, it's an individual. The capital gains tax is 6% of the actual price. Usually, the capital gain tax should be paid by the seller, but there are times that the buyer are the one who will pay for the capital gains tax. It depends to the seller or based on the agreement between the seller or the buyer. Okay, but look at this. Okay, the percentage could be deeper if the property assessed is being used by a business or it is a title owned by a corporation. In that case, if that land is a title owned by a corporation, the percentage or the tax rate is 7.5%. So the document stamp tax is 1.5% of the actual sales price. Okay, this is paid. It can be paid by either the buyer or the seller based on their agreement. But most of the time that the buyer will shoulder the cost. Okay, transfer tax, 0.5% of the actual sales price, and the registration fee of 0.25% of the actual price. You know what? It's so difficult. There are a lot of costs or taxes to be paid when you acquire a particular land or a property here in the Philippines. And what if you purchase a land or you purchase a real property from the developers? So developers, those are the companies who develop a particular commercial or residential land. Okay, if you purchase a land from the developers, the capital gains tax is 10% of the actual sales price rather, and the value might be expressed as part of the sales price. Okay. And the document stamp tax, the 1.5% of the actual sales price, and the transfer tax of 0.5% of the actual price, and the registration fee of 0.25% of the actual sales price. Okay, so that will be our topic for today. Okay, the land acquisition, the land and property acquisition in the Philippines. Okay, so do you have question? Okay, yes, Miss Mary Antoinette, do you have question?
Sir, good afternoon po.
Okay,
May
yes.
question po kami regarding po dun sa percentage ng pag-acquire pagka po if in case corporation po yung may-ari ng land or ng
Okay,
property.
yes.
Di ba po 7.5%?
Yeah, kala nga. I'm just looking on it. Okay, yes. Purchase from individuals, okay. Yes. Ano
Apo,
yun?
purchase from individual 6%, tama po ba?
Yeah.
Tapos pag corporation po,
Pag corporation,
7.5.
yeah, yes, pag corporation, it is 7.5%. Okay, thank you for clarification. So,
Opo. Pero nag-search na po kasi kami sa website po ng BIR. Wala po
okay.
kasing 7.5 na percentage para sa CGT or capital gains tax.
Oo,
And
okay.
nag-inquire na rin po kasi kami, nagkataon po na may seminar po kami about real estate tax. Na
Okay.
tanong din po namin if in any case meron pong 7.5, wala daw pong ganun.
Wala. Okay, so sige. Thank you for that clarification. Kasi yun nga, because okay, this material should be based in your LMS. So it is a good to be discussed. Okay. Well, this 7.5% will be based on the source of our material or for whatever it is. But in case that the 7.5% is not part of the it's not in the list of the BIR when it comes to capital gain tax. Okay, the 6% capital gains tax must be prevail or should be prevail.